Thanks very much, Shane. I wanted to just acknowledge the traditional owners of the land upon which we meet and pay my respects to their elders past and present. And I wanted to just say a couple of quick words. I've got took a little bit longer than we intended, so I've got to head off in a moment. But I want to thank Don Thompson, the CEO and the founder of this extraordinary company, CRDC. Where's Don? Sorry, there he is. Sorry, Don. And Ross Gibby, Chief Operating Officer, Shane Ramsey, Clinton Nelson, Warren Overton, and the whole team here. We are very proud to be partnering, and as I said in front of the camera, it's a fairly modest investment by the government, but it's a really important one, and I want to acknowledge the Chair of Sustainability Victoria, Johan Schaefer, and Matt Jennifer, the CEO, for being here. They're our front-facing arm, both in terms of industry, a lot of the industry engagement, but also the consumer side of behaviour change and education. All I wanted to say was, when people think there are intractable problems, and there are, in terms of initially, in terms of whether it be in recycling, whether it be soft plastics and e-waste and difficulties in processing and repurposing those. It never is just a government response. It can never be just a government response. We're proud as a government to have invested significant amounts in both the community education, in the regulatory system, by saying you just can't dispose of e-waste, for example, in landfill. But we need business and we need industry partners to make this a reality. And I want to acknowledge all the industry partners here, not just CRDC, but also their customers. So I can't remember the name of the company here. National Masonry and Victorian Government's Big Build and all our contractors. Here we have a solution for e-waste, for soft plastics, that then use the excellent innovation and the technical know-how and the science that this company has applied to create extraordinary material for a better outcome for construction and concrete. Like, it's a full circle positive story for Victoria and for the aspirations we have for a circular economy. And I just wanted to let you know that our aspiration in Victoria is to become the centre of the recycling economy and the circular economy in the country, and one of the global centres, and we can do it with partners like you. So thank you so much for having me here. Thank you for your commitment, your investment to Victoria and all your partners, and I wish this facility extraordinary success over the coming decade and more. Thanks so much.
Wow. Well, what a turnout. We're incredibly honoured and proud and a little humbled to be welcoming so many special people today, impactful people, interested people, supportive people. As we look around the room, there's opportunity in this room to really have a dramatic impact on what's happening in waste, the environment and construction. So we firstly just want to wholeheartedly thank you for making the effort for attending today. We're incredibly pleased with the support that we're enjoying. We do have some things on the floor. We've got some stored plastics, obviously, because it's an operating facility, and we've got some bags of RESIN8, and walk around, have a look, but it would be better not to touch or pull apart or dig into. If we could just stay away from those things, but by all means just walk around and enjoy the tour. Same thing, we have bricks and blocks and products on display, and we want you to touch and feel and see it, but just be mindful. We don't want anyone dropping a building block on their toes, although they are 600 grams lighter than a standard building block. We still think best not to drop it on an unprotected foot. So we just want to take that opportunity to welcome everyone on and let you know a little bit about the housekeeping. And I'll just start by saying, my name's Shane Ramsey, and I'm one of the directors with CRDC Australia and with CRDC Victoria. And I'd like to invite my fellow MC, Warren Overton.
Thanks, Shane. And I just want to reiterate, thank you for coming out on a Monday morning to our grand opening. And it's one of those things they talk about an overnight success, but it's actually been many, many, many years in the making. So it's a really exciting day to get to this actual point. I'd just like to do an acknowledgement of country, say we're meeting on the lands of the Bunurong peoples, and I'd like to pay my respect to elders past, present and emerging. So today we're going to have a few guest speakers, and then we're going to have a panel session with a few experts. We want to give you an idea of the full circular story of RESIN8 and what it's all about, and then we'll have some tours afterwards, as Shane said. You can take a self-guided tour, or if you can grab a person in a high-vis vest. And I do want to point out, because he hasn't had a lot of accolade yet, Paul Duplessis, standing over here in the high-vis vest. Paul's the general manager here and has been literally on the tools, crawling around inside, outside of every piece of equipment to get it to this point. So people in suits like myself and the board members and so on, and we have meetings, but in the end it's got to be people on the ground like Paul and his team as well, who have delivered this and the factory today. So I'd like everyone just to give them a round of applause, please. You'll have noticed we've got some pretty good-looking AV equipment set up around here. We are videoing today, and you may even get a videographer just grab you and say, "Hi, why are you here?" Feel free to say, "No, I don't want to be on camera." But if you want to share your story, feel free to do so. We're going to produce some videos to use on social media and also for promotion on the webpage as well. And so in doing so, please turn off your mobile phones, because that might just make some fun sounds through the video as we go. This project, as I said, it's taken a very long time, but we have had very significant support from the Victorian government, and in particular from Sustainability Victoria, who were very lucky to receive a grant. And our first speaker today is the newly minted CEO, longest serving interim CEO of Sustainability Victoria, Matt Geneva, who's going to say a few words. Thank you, Matt.
Morning all, thank you. Lovely to be here. My job's been made significantly easier this morning by the fact that I was here to be speaking on behalf of the Minister, and he came and spoke anyway. So his mad dash that was going to be just half an hour in and out and a wander round turned out to be much more significant. It was wonderful to hear some words from him this morning. So I won't keep you long. I think, as Warren said, there are a lot of people on the tools that make a facility like this happen. We're really proud at Sustainability Victoria that we're able to play our part in that. For those of you that don't know us, we're a statutory agency of the Victorian Government, and really our job is to accelerate the transition towards a circular economy. We do that in lots of ways. Some of that work is facing the community, some of that work is facing households, but a lot of that work is really supporting the industry, and that can be funding to get fantastic new recycling facilities up and running, like the one that we've got here. And at the other end, that can be programs that really work with the amazing, innovative Victorian businesses that want to create new marketable commodities out of recycled products. And again, reiterating the Minister's comments earlier, it's wonderful that that's what we're here looking at today. We're looking at a wonderful merger of some of the really tricky hard plastics that come out of our e-waste stream. We're looking at some of those really tricky plastics that come out of our flexible plastics areas, and a merger of those into a new marketable product called RESIN8. And it's fantastic that Melbourne is the location for the first CRDC facility, creating that here in Australia. So perhaps I might just leave it there and finish by really recognising that we have typically looked at this industry only from one lens, and that lens has been, who will take the stuff that I produce? Where can I send it? Where will it go? And then we've had companies that have been really great at saying, "Oh, I can take it for you for a fee," and then desperately trying to figure out what to do with it. And we know that model doesn't work, because typically what happens is the person that takes it ends up with more stuff than they know how to get rid of, and we end up with recycling schemes that fall over and collapse. We're seeing many more examples of what we've got here, which is companies that are thinking about an end product, doing the work to find the markets and identify the markets for those end products, and then using recycled materials effectively to work through that supply chain and create that product. So my hope and my invitation to all of you, if you're potential customers or current customers, is really to say thank you for adopting these types of products, and if you haven't yet, really to encourage you to think about how in the construction industry we can be incorporating more of these fantastic high quality recycled products into our construction industry. And it's wonderful in Victoria that we have our Big Build project and initiatives like the Ecologic Recycled First policy that's in Victoria driving that. I know Frank's here. Where are you, Frank? There you go, Frank's at the back there. So make sure you say hi to Frank at some stage today, who's part of the Ecologic program. Congratulations to everybody involved. As I said, SV really played a relatively small part in that through the provision of funding, and it's really been the innovation of CRDC and indeed the forward thinking, I think, of ANZRP, and a wonderful partnership that we've seen take this project forward. So I'll leave it there. Thank you so much. Please enjoy the rest of your morning, and back to you, Warren.
Thank you, Matt. And obviously, so ANZRP as a not-for-profit organisation in the space of e-waste recycling, the plastic out of e-waste was a significant issue for us. About 25% of the 20,000 tonne a year of e-waste that we recycle. So when we started looking for a solution for plastic, there weren't that many around. And I think it's a great credit to ANZRP, in particular the ANZRP board, to take this on and see it as a solution and actually actively try and do something about it. So I'm very proud as CEO of the company, that the board got behind this. And when it was first put forward, they didn't say, Warren, that's a crazy idea, why are you thinking about it? And we've seen it through, and it's taken quite a few years. So I'd like to personally say thank you to the board and invite up Mark Mackay, chairman of the ANZRP board. Mark's been chairman from the start for 12 years. He's also been chair of a number of other organisations and recently onto the container deposit scheme in Victoria. So Mark's got a lot of experience in this area. I'd like Mark to come and join us.
Thank you very much for those kind words, Warren, and to our friends at SV, thank you also. We wouldn't be here today if you hadn't kick-started us with this grant, so I'm very, very appreciative. On behalf of the board of ANZRP, we're all appreciative, and I just wanted to again warmly welcome you all and thank you for making the small journey out to beautiful downtown Tottenham. If I take you back to July 2022, that was quite a foundation date for our business. That's the date that the federal government put a red line through the export of plastics. That's the date that really forced us to think very hard about how we're going to find a solution for our members, which is not landfill. And I'm just so pleased and so delighted to see behind me this plant come out of the ground in the space of that 2-year period, because it will solve a lot of problems. I must say that from my point of view, I see this as a genuine win-win. It's a win, obviously, for sustainability, but sustainability is only one side of the coin. You've got to come up with a solution that's economically viable and that can deliver full circularity in terms of value. And whilst it's very early days, I'm encouraged by the level of interest in this operation, and I sincerely believe that it will reach a point of being cash positive in the foreseeable future. But of course, many people have been involved in this journey, and I won't labour the point too long, but there are just a few organisations I just want to reinforce their tremendous support. The first being, of course, my members, ANZRP, our board. We're represented by some of the world's major OEMs, including Apple and Canon and Hewlett-Packard and Fuji, Dell, and many others. Those organisations have all been very forthright in putting their hands in their pockets to support us, to help us build a tremendous sustainable future. So I thank them sincerely. To Matt Jennifer, I nominated up front and wanted to thank the SV team for their financial assistance. Not just financial assistance, this has been quite a journey in terms of getting approvals and so on. and SV have shown tremendous patience in allowing us to get to this point. To the We Collect team, to Kerry Osborne, to Rhys Hewitt, to Juby Cunnell, and to, of course, Paul Duplessis. This group have done a tremendous job building this business. But also to Warren Overton and his ANZRP team, who really first hatched the idea of saying, well, what's a clever way of dealing with plastic? What's a partnership that we can go find to build an effective solution? And of course, we found that in our new partners, our JV partners, CRDC Global, and of course, RESIN8. And that's the last and also a very important word of thanks to CRDC Global, our JV partners. We've worked very well together. It's a new relationship. It takes time to form those sorts of relationships, but we've got very strong shared ambition and shared beliefs. And I believe that this hopefully will be the start of many successful long-term ventures with CRDC Global. We're very lucky to have the founder of CRDC with us, Mr. Don Thompson. He's in the room today. He's made quite a journey to get here, and we sincerely appreciate the effort of him and all of his team. So I might just, if I can, hand over to Don. Thank you very much. I'll leave you to it. Thank you.
Well, this is extremely powerful for me. We actually started this project in about 2009. Very humble roots. It started as a small classical music school for poor kids on the beach, and I'm not a musician, so the kids just had to help me clean up the beach. And so they followed me. We cleaned it up. We learned everything we could about plastic. I got pretty radical for a while. I wouldn't eat, or I tried to live without plastic. It became impossible. We learned that was impossible. So that we had this concept, if you can't beat them, join them. And the idea was to learn everything we could. I'm a builder by trade. I'm a builder developer by trade. I'm originally Canadian, but I've been in Costa Rica for 33 years, dedicated to that community. When you come from Costa Rica, it's pretty easy to become an environmentalist. It's very easy to become concerned about your environment. So what we really wanted to do is we wanted to show the kids that there was hope, there was a future. So this is 2009. We hadn't even heard about circularity yet, frankly. And we became, our first attempt to use plastic was to pick up the big bottles, cut them in half at the top, fill them with mangrove mud, stick a mangrove seed in there, and then regenerate the mangrove. And that was, okay, that we're kind of upcycling the plastic into a planter. Then one day I was walking with two little guys down the beach. They jumped up and down on all the bottles, and they looked exactly like slate tiles to me. Exactly, like high-end slate tiles. So I went, aha. And I invented a bottle that converted from a water bottle into a building tile. And it was so interesting, in fact, that I created my own water company so I could understand what it was really like to be in this business. And we went as far as to have the interest of Starbucks to buy it. And eventually my partners, they said, why get involved in this whole environmental push? Let's just sell gourmet water. So I backed out. They bought me out. And I couldn't do anything for 3 years, but I had this feeling, hey, the idea to put plastic waste into a long-term appreciating asset, specifically for people that maybe needed a break, needed their first home. I'm really actually a specialist in social housing and work closely with Habitat for Humanity. That would be the smarter thing to do. That would be the really circular thing to do. So in that 3-year period that I went into a non-compete, we decided, well, it was kind of cool that we got all these kudos that we could build a tile or a bottle that turned into a tile. But what would happen if we could take all of the plastic in the world, all of the dirty, the soil plastic, the commingled plastic, and we could turn that into a building product that made sense? So we dedicated ourselves to that. We took a lot of risks. We started in Costa Rica. Despite COVID, we grew into the United States, we grew into South Africa, and then we grew here. In the next 2 or 3 years, we'll probably be in another 15 countries. So these initiatives where you got kids helping you on the beach and you can start humbly, you can make a big difference. And so it's to be here in Australia, to see this incredible plant with these incredible people that have put this project together, to be with my COO is just, it's extraordinary. It fills me full of hope that we can actually get together. We can do this. We can create this industrial symbiosis, put the resin stream together with the construction stream, and then we can make a big difference. We can solve this problem. So thank you very much, Australia. We're dedicated to do what we can do to help, and we're very, very proud to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Don, and thanks for travelling from Costa Rica, and Ross for travelling from the US, and thank you, Mark, and to the entire NZRP board on behalf of CRDC Australia, CRDC Global, and CRDC Victoria. We are incredibly proud to be partnered with and supported by such an incredible group and organisation. So thank you so much. As was mentioned, without the support, we wouldn't be enjoying the reality of what's here on the floor today. So we're not going to stay at the podium now for long. What we're going to do is just invite a couple of industry representatives, ones that you might in the audience be able to connect with. I don't want to use the pun and say you might resonate with them, but perhaps you will resonate with these different ones. So those who are on the board today, if we could just get them to come up, and I'll let you know who we've got. So we wanted to just represent a bit of the circular story. So representing Woolworths Waste 360, we have Peter Bruce. So Peter's going to represent, I guess, for many, the start of the waste collection story. You can just, why don't you start at number 1, Pete? Or at number 5. And they're going to mic you up as you come on up. And then we've also got Fiona Bowie, who's Director of Transformation and Sustainability with John Holland Group. And she's currently working on the level crossing removal project with the Northwest Program Alliance. So we look forward to hearing some insights from Fiona. Stephen Mount, we have, who's a sustainability lead with Seymour White. And thanks to Steve for hopping the early flight from Queensland and joining us this morning. We look forward to your insights. And again, hopping the early flight, we have Dallas Fraser, who's a sustainability manager with Fulton Hogan. And Dallas is currently working on the Coomera Connector project in southeast Queensland. And then finally, we're going to ask Ross Gibby, who's our COO, who can come up. And he was just going to wrap it up by giving us just a little glimpse of the circular story that's happening globally. So we just want to ask each of these panellists just a couple of key questions to give a bit of insight to the start of the story, the importance of the story, how the product can be implemented, utilised. So that's the application of the story. And then Ross will help us understand a bit of the trajectory of where the story can continue to grow. So we'll give them a second to mic up so you can all hear what they have to say. Well, thanks, friends, for making yourselves available. You thought you were coming for a tour and a free coffee, and now you're mic'd up and on the stage. We really appreciate it. But it's important for us and important for all here to hear insights from those who are outside of CRDC as a company, but are stakeholders in effect that you're part of what the story is. So that's what's of real value. So we really appreciate having you here. So maybe, Pete, in many ways, you're at the coalface of the start of the waste collection story. So we just got a couple of questions we want to ask you in the first instance. Firstly, why are innovative methods to recycle plastic like the RESIN8 product important for companies such as Woolworths or even the alliances like the Soft Plastic Alliance?
Yeah, so we are collecting plastics at the moment with Coles, with Aldi, so the three entities working together to start trying to collect the plastic. But from what's happened in the past with soft plastic collection, all of the customers out there want to have confidence that the product is actually getting recycled. And so seeing a plant like this, where it's actually being collected and being processed, is the really important thing. Because the question that like Sean, myself, others always get asked is what happens to the product that's collected? Is it actually recycled? If I put the hard work into collecting it, what happens to it? So I think it's really, really important that we see solutions like this where we've got a real outcome being achieved.
Yeah, excellent. Thanks, Pete. In fact, as you take yourself on a bit of a tour around, you'll see a snapshot of what's going through the facility. You'll see legacy red cycle plastics, but you also see some of the soft plastics piled up that has just come in fact, in the last few days from the recommencement of the soft plastics recycling scheme. So that's it. And next week that'll be gone into RESIN8, and then after it'll be in blocks and then in construction or in concrete or roads or wherever else it might find itself. So it's great to have that transparency about where is my recycling going. So can we ask you then, Pete, how can organisations who have waste plastic stream have an impact in supporting the downstream utilisation of recycled products?
Look, I think everyone in this room knows the answer to that. It's not recycled until it's reused. And, you can collect lots of stuff, you can make it into a new product, but until you use that new product, it's not recycled. And so all of us, anyone that makes plastic or consumes plastic or is involved in the business, has an obligation to try and reuse that product, try and reuse the new manufactured product. We just have to do it. And we have to make those decisions of choosing a reused product over a virgin product. And it might cost you a little bit extra, but it's what we need to do if we're going to have a planet that we can continue to live on and our kids can continue to live on. It's a no-brainer to me.
Yeah, thanks, Peter. And if there is to be a takeaway from the event today, perhaps that's one of the key messages, that the true circularity is coupled with downstream support. There's many who want to recycle, there's many who want products to be recycled, but without that downstream support, without the uptake of the recycled commodity, then it ceases to exist. So that's where we all have the responsibility to pick up what we can and use it when we're able. So thanks, Peter, for sharing those comments. We appreciate that. Fiona Bowie, so we mentioned you're a Director for Transport and Sustainability with the John Holland Group. So can we just ask you, the use of RESIN8 has become part of a wider story on the Northwest Program Alliance. Can you tell us a bit more about this?
Yeah, so we had a project called Project Beacon start 2 years ago. And LXRP, Level Crossing Removal Projects, really wanted to become a leader in sustainability and was looking for what's the thing that's really going to push sustainability coming up. And so we decided to focus on recycled materials and looking at the barriers that suppliers face. So we went out to the suppliers, and it's a pretty bad thing that we don't often actually just go out to the suppliers and say, why aren't we using your products? What's the barriers? What's going on here? And we got back an amazing shopping list of things that we can do something about. Things like, we just need you to partner with us and do the fire testing so that we can get your product, but we can never do that in the timescale of a single project. So we need to partner on a longer term. We need to partner with you because we just need a trial case and some precedent to demonstrate the product. And that's certainly the case with recycled plastics and aggregates. That was the feedback there, was we need to demonstrate precedents, trials. So we've just finished some trials on our Keon Parade project, which is in Thomastown. We've finished the 28-day testing. It's all come back great, with some exposed aggregate and standard footpathing. In particular, the exposed aggregate, we were partnered with Ecologic, but also the Urban Design Architecture Panel and the local council and MTM's Urban Design Advisory to look at the finished product and go, it looks the same. Like, we're on our hands and knees scouring it, trying to find any differences. It looked perfect. So we're really excited to get that rolled out in the whole urban precinct of Keon Parade in the coming months.
Thanks, Fiona, and we're really excited. In fact, there's no greater compliment than to hear someone say, well, we've used RESIN8, and we can't tell that we've used RESIN8. It just continues to perform and aesthetically look the same, and we're really excited to be part of that Keon Park Parade project, and also appreciative of the support of Wholesome Concrete in batching and pouring those test labs in that regard. So can we ask you then, how has the introduction of the Recycled First policy changed your approach as a contractor?
It's everything. So policy is everything to us. We really always are wanting to do the next thing and wanting to go that next level. But once you introduce policy, it starts giving us a level playing field. Like Steve and I at times will be partnered, as we are on some projects, but we're also competitors. And when we're in the competitive environment, it becomes really hard to put in those extra overcosts for new and innovative products when you're trying to get to that lowest price, which is ultimately where we are trying to hit as well. And so by setting that benchmark of policy, it gives us that even playing field, but it also gives us certainty that this is what the government wants, and you know that you've got the remit then to focus our energy. So you can start doing those long-term partnerships. You know that this is something that isn't just a one-year idea fest. It's something that we could develop 5-year partnerships with our suppliers and really focus on this. And that gives the ability to us to focus in 2 ways. We can focus on those big hitters of just getting volumes of recycled stuff into our projects, but we can also focus on R&D, and that's where our people on the ground are really excited, doing those tests and those trials and changing the industry. So that's given a lot of life to recycled use as well in our projects.
Fantastic. Well, thanks, Fiona, for sharing your comments. We're glad that you and Steve are on friendly terms today and not in a competitive environment. We might have to separate your seats. Yeah, but thanks. That really gives us some great insight, and also appreciate to hear about the real-world application that's a result of that R&D, that testing, that support of what's happening. So thanks very much for the support that's taking place there. So we have Stephen Mount from Seymour White. So, Stephen, could we just ask you a couple of questions, and thanks for coming. Firstly, can we ask how important does Seymour White see the use of recycled materials in construction?
So, yeah, we see it as something that's very important. I don't think anyone gets into the environment sustainability field without that sort of passion for these sorts of things. And what products like RESIN8 have been able to do is give us a platform to actually put the words that are on the policy into an action and into something that's deliverable. So it's not just the feel-good stuff, but it's also making a difference on the ground. And yeah, it's been a bit of a journey. And I think coming through these sorts of road projects as principal contractors, Seymour Whites, Fulton Hogans, the John Hollands of the world, we sort of have to be across how to bring these things through. A lot of people have great ideas, but to actually then understand the process of taking an idea from a trial product into something that's, mass producible and on the ground. There's a lot of satisfaction that goes along with that, but there's also a lot of reward as well. So that does put us and other contractors like us in a better position for securing works going forward. And having forward-thinking clients like MRPV, the Big Build program, partnering with Ecologic, and having that sort of really open nature to the approach. We joke about being competitors, and at some point we're all competitors, but we've all worked in joint ventures together. We've all been on the same teams together. We just want to see great outcomes delivered, so yeah, that's sort of where it sits for us.
Fantastic. And I mean, ultimately, if that's the driver for all of us, we just want to see great outcomes, and eventually we're all in this together. Yeah. So the fact that at some point, and collaboration is key for us. The fact that you collaborate for a greater outcome is something we greatly appreciate. Can we ask you, what role does Seymour White take in the supply chain when proposing initiatives like this?
As I mentioned briefly just before, as principal contractors, we aren't manufacturers, we aren't producers, and that we'll build something that we're asked to build. But if you look at it from, I suppose, an emissions point of view, Scope 1, 2 and 3 emissions, most people are probably reasonably familiar with. The vast majority of our emissions footprint is in Scope 3, which is in our supply chain. So no matter how much stuff I do at Seymour White or our team does at Seymour White around reducing our emissions, the biggest influence is always in the supply chain. So engaging with the supply chain, understanding who's who in the zoo and what benefits can be brought, that's really our role to help facilitate that and push that along. So the clients are doing their bit by making it possible. We're doing our bit by finding the initiatives, or the initiatives are finding us. In most cases, it's not us going out and finding so that's sort of, even from we're talking circular economy, but also the other aspect of circular economy is all of those players coming together.
Yeah, fantastic. In fact, in all instances, and I speak to the Seymour White one at this moment. That's exactly what took place. So looking at what we have and then going, okay, well, how can we join the dots with RESIN8 within a product producer? So when you're looking around today, you can see some precast concrete panels that can be used for major civil infrastructure projects. That was initiated through a connection with Seymour White, connecting us with Hanson Concrete, with Reinforced Earth, the producers of the product. And then what happens is now we start to close the loop, because then companies like Seymour White, John Hollands, the Fulton Hogans and many others can buy a product. But the drive that you give allows product producers to have confidence to use it, knowing there'll be a market for it. So we're really grateful for that sort of level of support. Well, thanks, Steve. We have Dallas Fraser with us. So Dallas is a sustainability manager also, but with Fulton Hogan. And we appreciate you coming down from Queensland, Dallas. Can we ask you just a couple of questions? Firstly, what potential opportunities do you think RESIN8 could present in Australia for your industry? What could that look like?
I probably think that the first thing that really sits out here is collaboration and partnerships. Like, it really came down from what it comes from the start and all of these other ones. So it can't be understated that collaboration and partnerships is the key here, and the output that goes in that. Those potential opportunities for RESIN8 just seems, for projects that we're involved in, is that we really start to close the loop. We've got the ability where waste is being generated on projects such as ours, which is the large infrastructure projects, that some of this waste can then actually just loop back into the project. And I think that's one of those really important things that we can't understate, is that we're generating the waste, we should be able to reuse it back on these projects. We shouldn't be creating another problem. We should be able to look at all of the aspects of our project in a circular way. What are we generating? How can it go back into the project? And there are awesome opportunities that are being presented, and they will be presented, and they'll be achieved when those collaboration and those partnerships, where everyone is on that shared value. This is what we want. Where's it getting generated? How can we use it? How can we loop that into the project? And how can we do that all together?
Yeah, fantastic. Well, that's such an important insight. So could we ask then, what sort of framework do you believe needs to be in place to be able to see this sort of thing happen?
It's really got to be that understanding where everyone sits within that chain. So those components that need to go together, whether it's coming from the waste that's being generated, on looking at where it comes through, to make sure that there's framework for that to happen. It can't be that we're generating waste on a project, then that goes to a landfill, or somebody needs to work out how that goes to the next part, to the concrete, and back to us. The framework needs to be of an understanding when we do those waste estimates at the start of the project, that we don't look at it as a waste estimate, we look at it as a resource. What resource are we going to generate during that project? And we change that mindset in, it's a resource that's going to come through. How do we find other companies or partners or collaboration where we can turn that resource into a product that comes back to at the end?
Yeah, fantastic. Well, thanks, Dallas, for sharing that. So just finally, just something that's recently happened is the federal government has announced the environmentally sustainable procurement policy for construction projects over 7.5 million. What are your thoughts on this?
I think it's great. The procurement at the front end, on having those discussions, on having that at the forefront of thinking about it at procurement, that it doesn't mean that it's some of those challenges that we have on projects where we're trying to get a really good outcome, but procurement's already done this at the front end. We've already costed, we've already put those ones in, and we really need to fight against some of the policy, or we need to fight against contracts that are already there. If it's embedded into the procurement phase, if it's embedded as part of that consideration, it makes it a whole lot easier downstream. Yep. Yeah, fantastic. Well, thanks, Dallas. We appreciate the comments. We appreciate the insight from the industry, because ultimately you're driving the downstream offtake of these sort of recycling initiatives, and particularly grateful for your use and support of RESIN8. We have Ross Gibby with us. He's a Chief Operating Officer with CRDC Global, and we appreciate Ross being here. But just thinking about that circular story, Ross, maybe you can give us some examples of how this circular experience has been enjoyed globally.
Yeah, I think if we start to get into that conversation, I think we probably need to start with Costa Rica. I don't know how many of you know this, but this is where the technology and the process and the product was developed initially, but it's also a real perfect example of this kind of closed loop circularity. Not only do we have this relationship with the United Nations Development Program as well as corporate entities on the plastic collection side, but right behind our plant in Costa Rica, we have a river that's actually a tributary into one of the most polluted rivers in the country, and we have a river boom back there. So not only are we getting plastic from the United Nations, from corporate entities, the community itself, but we're also collecting that environmental plastic. We're pulling it right into our plant. We're converting it into RESIN8. And our JV partner there is not the recycling entity. It's actually a concrete manufacturer. It's Pedregal. And they are a block and paver company. They virtually have a monopoly on the concrete masonry units in that country. And so everything we make, all of the RESIN8 that we make, goes literally right across the parking lot. And it's currently going into about 4.2 million masonry units per month. And that goes directly into the community, whether it's the masonry units or also into asphalt, and helps build that infrastructure and build that community. So we've got this really nice kind of closed loop entity right there. Another example is in York, Pennsylvania in the United States, where I oversee the operations. WellSpan Health, it's the healthcare network in that community, and they run York Hospital. Well, they're also running our Bag That Builds collection program inside the hospital. And we're taking all of the hospital plastic, we're converting it into RESIN8, and it's going right back into a $400 million expansion project at the hospital. So another really nice, closed loop example. We work with construction companies also in North America that are utilizing the plastic waste from the actual site, from the construction process, converting it into RESIN8, and it's going right back into those projects. And another clear example of that is a cruise ship port that's happening in Eleuthera, Bahamas. It's actually being built by Disney, and Disney's sustainability company is sending us all of the plastic from that construction project. We're converting it into RESIN8, and it's going right back into the cruise ship project. So it's incredibly exciting how we're able to close that loop and basically take these projects to zero waste.
Yeah, fantastic. Thanks, Ross, and thanks for sharing some of the global experience of what's been happening. That closing the loop is certainly something that's key for us. So if you just look around the facility, you can see over there, Ross mentioned the Bag That Builds, those green bags. So that's an opportunity for communities to collect their waste. So that particular stockpile there was collected through Hobson Bay City Council. We have Yvette McCoyle and Eitan Kumar and the team from Hobson Bay here. So they organise a voluntary collection opportunity for people to bring their soft plastic or commingled plastic or hard plastics or hard to recycle plastics into the council chambers. That was bagged up. Then Yvette often would just drop it off out of her car because she was committed to the cause. It would come here. That plastic will get converted to RESIN8, and then under the watchful eye of Professor Filippo Gusciozzi from RMIT on an Ostroads project, that council community waste will become part of a community road project in the very near future. So we get to close the loop with a true circular story where the community's waste actually becomes an appreciating asset in the community. So we're really proud about that circular vision, but we just want to keep blowing that up. And that's why we appreciate hearing big organisations, community groups, to say they want to support the full circular story, and that's the driver. So we would just want to thank each member of the panel today, Peter, Fiona, Steve, Dallas and Ross, for sharing some of your insights and experiences with us. We're going to hand back to Warren Overton. Thanks, Warren.
Thank you. Well, that's about it for the formalities. You can sit there for the moment if you like. What came out of that for me was the constant reinforcement about the circularity side of things. And from an ANZRP perspective, we're into product stewardship. And so we've been collecting and recycling e-waste for years. But the material that comes out of it, it's always about where does that go? And Matt mentioned that as well. So getting involved in this project where we can actually now see that full supply chain and see it into an actual end product. And one of the exciting things for our members, and I'm out there trying to talk to our members saying, well, we're collecting waste on your behalf. What can we do with the RESIN8 in a project for you? Which is a nice segue for me to say thank you for the members who are here today. So we have representatives from Apple, HP, Canon, Epson, Konica Minolta. Have I forgotten anyone yet? Fuji. I think we've got everyone. Thank you, Reese. He's one of my board members. I shouldn't forget that. So, yeah, great day. Thank you, everyone, for being here. We're now going to do some tours. There will be a light refreshment. We've put a tab on the coffee because you've drunk through everything so far. But keep going because it's obviously really good coffee. And think about the opportunities. This is such a great facility, such a great partnership, such a great opportunity to be really creative. And there's a few people here who I've been talking to, and sorry to pull you out, someone from Sushi is here today to talk to me about the little fish, the soy sauce fish, you know, what do we do with them? They're dead keen to do something about it. And so they're talking to us, hey, we could recycle them. Otherwise you couldn't. So lots of opportunity. You can tell I'm excited. That's enough from me. Shane's going to close. Thank you very much for the speakers. Thank you, everyone, for attending.
So just very briefly to wrap it all up, a huge thank you to everyone who's travelled from abroad. We have representatives here from Costa Rica, the United States, Indonesia, Singapore, right throughout Australia, and even just the traffic in Melbourne apparently was horrendous this morning. So those who fought that on a Monday morning, we really appreciate that. Our incredible partners at ANZRP. We just can't overemphasise just how valuable their support has been in seeing an innovative opportunity and then having the courage and the foresight to support it and then the commitment to help drive it. So we greatly appreciate that. To everyone who's been involved in the panel, to everyone who's part of Paul's team, who's just done an incredible job. The factory is just always this clean as you would imagine. And but we know, thanks, Paul, for your efforts in making everything as it should be. I'm going to give you a real quick flyover of sort of some of the things on the floor because we won't be able to talk to everyone at every point. But if you just look as an example right here, National Masonry have just produced these blocks containing RESIN8. The 2 cardboard boxes to the side of it, that's the equal volume of the plastic consumed in that 1 pallet of blocks. So just to try and give you a visual, that amount of plastic has been utilised in that pallet of blocks. So when we're diverting that from landfill, we're starting to get an idea of the impact that can take place. And if you go across the room, you see some products under development for innovation in the future, permeable pavers, structural pavers. So, you know, if you're a big industry, you need to support the companies that are supporting us because that's how we close the loop. There's a bit of RESIN8 on display. Compare it by weight to gravel and sand. Run your fingers through it, get a feel for it. We mentioned the precast concrete panels. Seymour White initiated the opportunity with Dave Keegan. Thanks for that. Hanson Concrete reinforced to earth to follow it through. We have blocks and pavers on display from Adbri Masonry. We're very happy to have Dr. Tuan and Ernest representing the University of Melbourne and also Southern Cross University, 2 of our research partners. If you have questions that are of a technical, really engineering nature, try and stump them. That's what I'd like you to do. Don't try and stump me. And then obviously that was the Hobson Bay project that we highlighted with the bag that builds over there. So now as you self-guide your way around the facility, you've got a bit of insight to what we're highlighting. And just to close, we just want to say that collaboration is key. I think we've all got the point. We don't need to overemphasise it. But as we go away, we know that this group of people have the ability to either initiate or support opportunities to collaborate, whether it's with the collection and diversion of waste or whether it's with the specification, purchasing and application of RESIN8 in projects. And it's with that true collaboration that we can have a great impact. So we appreciate the fact that you're here and you're looking for opportunities to drive change. So on that note, thank you very much. Enjoy the hospitality and the association together. We have one more comment. Yeah, actually, that would be great if we just, so you can thank him and then we'll all get going. Paul, if you just want to come up here, the guys just want to get the team on the stage. You're all looking so shiny and smooth today. It'd be a shame if we didn't have a photo of those who have worked really hard thanks, guys, for coming up, and we can also give that opportunity to snap a photo of them there. But thank you again for making the factory available for us today. We really appreciate it. Snap the photo and then you can get back to the coffee hut. All right, thanks very much, everyone.